Outcome 3 assessment, all about studio design. It's an open book report, so you're free to work on it in the house. It's due in next Monday at 4:15, so you'll have next Monday to work away at it in class as well. The fact that it's open book doesn't mean you can leave it all till Monday, come in and just keep asking me questions so that I answer it for you. I won't be answering any questions next week, but I will give you that time in order to work away at it, okay? If you don't have access to any machine at home, then you can use the library, or you can come up here and install Google Sketchup for the following month and be able to access the design software here. Okay, no submission basically means will result in fail. I've tidied up the grammar there. It makes it sound like nobody can possibly fail. But if you don't submit it, then you will fail. You will be granted time for amendments if it requires any, and in some circumstances, if it's just a wee sentence or two that needs fixed, or if it's just some understanding that I need to clarify with you, then I can cover that with some oral question. Okay, so the main requirements here that you're going to provide a design for an audio studio and control room, justify a design in terms of suitability for the performance and reproduction of audio. These are in-depth project areas that you have to discuss in detail, okay, not just a couple of words. These are, a page per requirement here. Justify suitable construction materials, so tell me what's in every room, tell me what it's made of, if it's absorptive, reflective, if you went for a live end or a dead end, if you have movable walls in the place, if you have windows, if there's symmetry, all that sort of stuff, if you've got isolation rooms for other amps and other instruments. Talk about the structural changes you've applied to this particular studio space and why. For instance, building a room within the room would be job number 1. And use this little calculator down here to figure out the RT60 of one of your rooms. So the studio and the control room. Okay, dead easy. Just put in the total surface area covered, which is easy to work out, and then you can then figure out the RT60s. Okay, remember RT60 being the reverb time of the room. And here's all the things you have to consider within there. As long as you've basically ticked all these boxes, then you know what you're giving me is enough in terms of what's been asked for you. However, I may need more in terms of getting everything I need from you to pass. Okay, so that's the assessment. It's just a case study based on the studio that you're going to design. Okay. So then we've got Google SketchUp itself. Now there's loads of shortcuts in here that I will be talking about, but you'll be expected obviously to use the software yourself. If you've used AutoCAD in the past and you've used it a lot, then you totally feel free to use that particular software. If you want to draw it, then just make sure you take a note of the dimensions out of this. Again, it is free software, so there's no reason why people can't download this and get it. But the dimensions are there, so it's quite a big room. If I put on O, I can then orbit around and I can see the size of the place. There's just a wee guy just cutting about down there. Gives you an idea of the sort of the scale. So this is a really, really big space. So as well as building rooms within the rooms, I'm going to bring the ceiling down a little bit as well to give me more manageability and more control over it. This is going to be a commercial complex, I've decided in my head. So I'm going to design one big control room, one big live room. I'm also going to put a reception, some storage areas. I'm going to have a little drum room or instrument room where I could put a drum kit, or maybe put some sort of backing singers, or put in a string quartet or something like that. I'm also going to have a little isolation room that could be used for vocals, or could also be used for a guitar amp to be fed through into. And then I'll have a wee chill out room as well, and as I say, a reception and a hallway coming in. At the back here, I'm going to use this as my fire exit. I'm going to use this to load in because I've got a bigger door there at the back. Okay, and these are the kind of things you want to talk about when you're designing your room. If you put your control room right here and a door straight into it, it's going to not make much sense because you're going to be right on the outside wall in a loud particular area, and if there's a fire, there's no real access to that. So your health and safety requirements may be a little bit tricky. At the front here, I've got this hallway I'm going to make into a kind of walkway, reception, chill out area, through into my control room. Then I'm going to have a big live room here with a couple of isolation rooms built as well. You all with me so far? Cool. So some of the shortcuts you'll need is T for tape measure, which allows you just to measure along and make little markers. L to draw lines anywhere you want. R for rectangle, Okay, they're all pretty straightforward. And P, which is good fun, allows you to push and draw things in and out like that. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is create a sort of framework for my floor, and then push it all up, bring it all up, so I've created all my partitions. I don't need room within a room for over here because I'm going to create a sort of reception and walkway, so I don't really need to isolate acoustically anything here, but everything else is going to be room within a room. That's the kind of mentality. Okay, so if I use H, I can then pan around, grabbing it, just pulling around. Obviously I can zoom in and out. Zoom in takes you to wherever your mouse is pointed at. If you want to zoom out, then you can put the mouse at different bits and it actually changes how it navigates in and out. You'll get more comfortable with that as you use it. There's a little offset tool here. If I use my spacebar, I can then just put my select tool on and I can select all my surfaces. If I use an offset tool, it basically takes the shape I've selected and then can bring it in and make a smaller version of that shape or a bigger shape. It keeps the relative dimensions the same. And Apple One always takes me home to have my bird's eye view of everything right in the middle. Like that. So that's what I'm going to start with. So I'm going to select this floor and I'm going to bring it in 15 centimetres. So I'm using centimetres as my dimensions here. If you guys want to change any of it, when you set up your new template, just put it into centimetres or metres. Again, there's about 1 million videos online showing you how to do all these things, so you'll be able to figure it out. The learning curve isn't huge. Once you get kind of going with the lines and rectangles, you pretty much get everything you need. Some of the things I'm using are just for easiness. Okay, so it'll offset. Once I select it, then it lets me create another rectangle or another shape inside this one. And down here in the bottom left, sorry, bottom right, you can see I've got a dimension little box. Once I select something and just start typing, it's going to then set my dimensions. And in this case, it's the width between the outer line and the new shape I've just created. Okay, so I want to create an inside wall here and a cavity of 15 centimetres. So I'm going to go for 15 and click OK. Now it creates that little cavity. Going to do the same again here and create another room within the room. Now this time the wall is going, this is going to be the inside wall's thickness. Okay, I want it to be quite thick. So your average breeze blocks is anywhere between about 12 and 16 centimetres. So I want 2 of them together. So I'm going to go for 30 just to keep my numbers quite straightforward. Hit 30, now I've created my inside wall. Okay, doesn't look quite right. I'm going to grab my wee tape measure and just have a wheel. There's 15 and then there's 30. So I'm going to undo that, try it again. F, select my square, and up I come. Okay, so it's taking it from the outside one, so I'm just going to set this up to 45. There we go. So you'll find wee quick ways of working. So you can see the inside wall is now double the thickness of the cavity. Okay, so this is my room within the room. Now I will be creating other rooms over here, and I can just extend this wall straight up onto this end wall because I don't need a room within a room for my reception and all that. Okay, so just going to go in sort of general figures here. From the outside wall, I'm going to take my tape measure, T, and measure 3 metres. You can see my little measurement down the bottom right hand corner. 3 metres is 300, and it creates this little breakpoint for me. And I can just click on it and drag my ruler across, and it creates a ruler for me. How wide was my wall again? How thick? And here? 30, good. So I make this other bit 30 here. Oh, no I don't. Just go down a way. Again, I've been using this for about 2 weeks myself, folks, so I'm not anywhere near a professional. Okay, but we'll get through it together. Okay, then I bring this across, and this now creates these little breakpoints. These are going to be my rooms. Okay, so my room there is going to have a width of 3 metres, which is from about the wall to about halfway into the smartboard there. So it's quite a big, thick room. These are just for my hallways and my little instrument rooms and other rooms that I've got going. To keep some symmetry into place, I'm going to bring a 3 metre gap in here as well, and take another gap there of 30. And you see those little guide points have been made. Whenever I attach these lines, the line changes colour because it's on the red axis going along the bottom, so it creates a nice square line there. Now in here I'm going to have a reception, I'm going to have a little chill out room, and along here I'm going to have an instrument room and a drum room / instrument room, and also a little chamber for loading gear in and then before taking it into the control room itself. Okay, so now I take my line tool and I'm just going to start making these lines real. Okay, I can still do some measurements up here if I want. So for instance, I'll take another line up here and I'll put 4.5 meters, followed by another cavity, another wall, draw it down. Okay, I won't need a lot of these shapes and these lines later on, but I will be putting them in just for the sake of completeness. So that was 4.5 meters. I'm going to make this one 5 meters with another little wall thickness here of 30, and then take that down here. Okay, and just be meticulous, just make sure you take your time and you'll get used to how to zoom in and all that as well. Okay. So you can now see a general shape starting to form. I'll probably have my control room in here. I'm going to actually make that a wee bit smaller. So I'm going to just create another little room in here, 2 meters or so. Take my line down, take another little wall. Okay, get past the kind of boring stuff. This will be my control room, this will be my live room, this will be a little instrument room, a drum room, a little, as I say, a little chamber so that I can load stuff in and still have people coming and going here without any noise making its way into the studio. I'll have a reception down about here, and then a little chill out room at the back as well. Okay, so in here I'll just make a little tiny reception, only to be a little box pretty much. Okay, a tiny little room, but not a lot of people spending time in there. It's just for people to come and go, and a little, as I say, barrier between the public and the actual studio itself. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is draw lines, and I'm going to create little rooms now that I've created my general dimensions in here. So I just take the line tool, which is L, and I can just start drawing over all these measurements that I've made. Now you don't need a measuring tool, you might want to just do these with lines themselves. It's totally up to yourself. But that's the way I do it, so you can do it that way if you wish. So I'm not going to need all of these, but I will draw them in until I basically have everything that I need. Not the most fun part to sit and watch, I appreciate, but just bear with me here. There's undoubtedly quicker ways to do this. Nearly there. Okay. So I've drawn all my lines in. Oh, hello. So I can erase just by hitting E and then going over the line that I need to erase. So clearly I went a wee bit wonky there. Sometimes you'll attach a side edge onto like a ceiling or something like that. Okay, there we go. So now I've got all my framework in it, and I can use a little eraser tool now to make a solid sort of chamber around, inside, sorry, the actual environment here, and then when I pull everything up, all the walls and the space will come up together. And that's when the kind of fun starts to happen, I think, anyway. Okay, so let's just have a wee look. So I use my eraser tool, put E on, and then I can start to delete these guys. Just be mindful, zoom in if you have to. I don't need those lines there, and I don't need, so made a wee mistake here, just draw this line back in. Don't need these guys, or these guys, or this guy. Be very careful when you're doing this, as you end up in an Escher painting. Right. Up to it again. There we go. Okay, you can start to see hopefully that wall, the room within the room sort of shape that I'm going to pull up any second now, starting to take shape here. These guys. Okay, kind of getting there. What I need to do here is take that up there, and I don't need a room within a room out here, so I can get rid of all these external walls now. This is obviously a lot easier when you're doing it yourself and you're not talking away while doing it. Okay, and I'll probably keep that, I'll just get rid of that as well. Okay, here we go. So now what should happen is when I lift this up, I should create my inner walls. Let me just double check I've got all these right. Looks quite good. Okay, just this back wall here. What I'll need to do is, the reason this little chamber's in here is because there'll be no room within a room at the back. So I'm just going to take my little line tool and complete that point here. Put with my little eraser, get rid of that, get rid of these. See, I know it's not very interesting, folks, but at least this way you'll have an idea of what is expected of you. Okay, so now I'm ready to lift it. Again, if you want to keep little lines to connect it to the outside wall, that's fine, because that kind of shows that there's an inside chamber getting built as well. So now I put O on and I can orbit round and I can have an idea of what I'm looking at here. The little tool to allow you to lift everything is P, and then you go to your region here and you just lift it like that. Okay, and I'm going to bring it up to 3 meters and 40 centimeters. And if I go down a little bit, you can see that it's quite a bit lower than the actual height of the house, height of the building, but it's still pretty big, and there's where we give us a reference down there. Okay, so that was just P. Then as you lift it, set your dimensions, 340. Then they go. And now I've got my basic space here. Command 1 takes me back to this, and then I'll just save it there as design 3. You all with me so far? Cool, good. Alrighty. I've got a general dimension that I use for doors, and it's just going to be 90 centimetres across and 200 centimetres up the way. If you're using any patio doors, then you might do 3 doors or 2 doors at a time, however you want to do them. But you can use a little rectangle tool to draw these in. First thing I'm going to do though is just create some interesting shapes in here. So I'm just going to use my line tool because the tape measure can be a wee bit funky. I'll use your tape measure just to make some accurate measurements, but I'm just going to go for symmetry here. So if I take my little line tool and go anywhere to the midpoint of the line, and it takes me to my midpoint, this blue, and it locks to it, I can just draw a line straight across. I can do that again in here, just by across a little bit. Let me do that one more time. And this is what I'm also going to use as my line of sight from my control room. So I'm going to have a window right here in the middle, in this middle wall here, that's creating a nice line of sight straight through. As well as that, I've got a little chamber here, so I can load in some equipment, or in fact what I'll do is I can fix it, play about with it later on again. I'm not bored in the dimensions here, and I want your design to be different. You might do loads and loads of little rooms within a room, and just have one main control room, and then have loads of wee overdub rooms. It's up to yourself. But for the sake of easiness here, I'm just showing you how to create a control room and a live room. So I've drawn my lines in here. And what I can start doing is just creating some squares with symmetry. So I'm just going to go to my midpoints across the room. Then this creates new midpoints. Another midpoint here. And again, you get the vibe. I'm getting nice, solid, acoustically symmetrical measurements in the context of this little space. And then I can start to taper the room in terms of the dimensions here. So what I want to do then is take a little midpoint at the back and draw a kind of W shape coming along like this, then in, down, and up. And here I'm going to put a slightly sharper one, okay, a bit more severe. Leave this little space in the middle there. Okay, as well as that, I'm going to taper this room back the way so that it's kind of narrowing in as it gets towards the back. That nice, interesting shape there. It's symmetrical, so it'll be predictable, but it's also cutting down in parallel surfaces, which is then obviously reducing the amount of standing waves that are going to occur. It's a wee bit messy, so I'm just going to my razor now and just start deleting these out. Again, there absolutely will be a more efficient way of doing this, but this is quite an easy way to do it for the time being. Okay, and once you've created your little shapes here that you want in the walls, you can then just use that tool again just to pull them all up. So I'll do that now. Most boring game ever. Right, so if I do P and pull this up, then I should be able to create my little shapes. This is a satisfying bit. Just make sure it's on edge as well. Let me get rid of these guys so you get an idea of what I'm doing here. Okay, so now you can see the kind of general shape of the room. Now I've cut quite a lot away. You might decide against that. In fact, I probably would, and I would redo all of that, but I'm not going to sit here and keep on doing things as we move forward. Still eating these little lines to tidy it up. So you can see there's an interesting shape. There's also a lot of acoustic treatment going on inside this room, so that could be good. Again, I could do the same in my control room. Again, I'm going for symmetry, I'm going for predictability. So just take my little lines and I could draw a space in there. I'm not going to do that because I know you're all fed up. Alright, so you can get an idea of that. If you take the line straight through into your control room, then you can get some symmetry with your control room as well, which might be quite a good shout. Inside my little rooms here, I would do the same thing. I would then measure, take midpoints, whatever I was feeling, or I could be exact with it and avoid those unruly dimensions and go for the Setmeyer's golden room ratios and actually change these so that there was very little mathematical relationship within them. If I have a wee look at the dimensions here, I've got say 4 meters 5 centimeters by 3.4 meters by 255. So there's very little mathematical integer relationships, not 1 to 2 to 3 or whatever there. So these should be quite good, interesting wee shapes. And in here what I could do is then just draw, again, just my lines just to make a different shaped room, bring it up a slight way, do the same in here. Then the tricky part is building your doors between them. So try and go from the room that has a straight line on the wall, like here. If I use my little rectangle tool, I generally go from the corner of the room, okay? But if you want to put it in the middle, that's totally fine. Just I've been looking at watching these videos, everybody seems to build their doors from the corners. So I'm going to go 90 across and 200 up. So I do 200, put a comma in, and then put 90, and it draws in my little door. And just for the sake of aestheticness, put my offset on at F, and then drag it out, and I'm going to make a wee frame, make it 5 centimeters. Then what I can do is use my little push tool to select this, bring it out 5 cm, get a nice wee thing going on here. Now what I'm going to do is push this door all the way through until I get this tunnel getting created. So I just push it until I see it the other side, and that's fine. At this point I'm just going to orbit back around and take it back in. I'm going to bring it out 10 centimeters from its shallowest point here. So take my little tape measure, T, measure 10 centimeters, it creates a little break point, and take that across. And now when I push this back in, I'm now going to kind of exact spot. Put my little offset on, again 5 centimeters, and I can push this back. To get the arrow back on to select things, I'm just hitting the space bar. And in we go. And then I can bring this surface in as well if I need it, just to make it look like a doorway. Okay, so then if I scroll about, then I can see that there's a passageway into these rooms. If you want to create the same thing here, you just need to close off this space with another line. So I put my little line tool on and just draw back over this space here. That then creates a surface that I can push in just a little bit. And later on I can add skins to these things, so wood or carpet or whatever I want. But just looks a wee bit tidier. Now this could be a performance room. It's going to probably feel a wee bit untidy in there, a wee bit isolated. So you might choose to put a big window here. You just draw it in the same way, but apart from up a little bit. Okay, so got my little doorways between the rooms. Now it keeps symmetry, so if I wanted to say have an access point from this main corridor in here, I could then just take my line across, use my little tape measure tool, go above it, in there, zoom out, took me a while to get the zoom out, attach it here, oh, and you see that green line, that's how you know you've got a nice parallel endpoint being selected. It can be a wee bit perlicky. There we go, something like that, and then just continue that through. Doesn't help that my mouse at home is wired up differently. Okay, and then I can just draw my door in here, but because I want to make it from the main door, I just put my rectangle on, R, and then again draw in my dimensions here. So it's going to be 20 by 200. There we go, do my little offset tool again, hit F. Okay, that's why I teach Pro Tools and not Google Sketchup, guys. And I've got another wee door, and then I could again take that through, and I've maintained symmetry between these things, and that's really important, obviously, when it comes to your studio. So those are the main things you need to know, okay? How to draw a line, how to draw a wall, how to lift it, how to draw through things. That'll give you the tools you need to create your space. However, the actual dimensions of it and how it actually looks is up to yourself. You can even be a wee bit creative and make your design into the shape of a violin or something like that. I don't know, it's all, of course, up to yourself. So I would do the same thing in here and draw my own shape. And I would do in here, I would just draw little doors, maybe a little window to show it's the reception. And then I can start to colour it in. Use this paint bucket tool, and I've got all these different skins. You can download more if you go to Window and then 3D Warehouse and Extension Warehouse. You can download loads and loads of different skins. But in here now you've got things like wood, so then you can just, of course it doesn't work. Obviously missing something ridiculous there, but you can obviously just click on a particular surface and it will not do anything, of course. Damn you. Okay, I must be missing something ridiculous here. Maybe I've got my... Oh, should be fine. Anyway, now I'll do the Blue Peter thing, and here's one I made earlier. So I literally made this one when you guys were sitting working away in your tracks this morning. You can see I've been a bit more realistic with my dimensions here. I've not had a big massive thick wall that eats right into my space. I've got a control room here, a little green room. A reception area, you can navigate around straight through, so it means the performers can come out the front and still get access to the control room without having to come all the way around the building. I've got a load-in point at the back with a little loading room, creating a cavity between the noise from outside and my control room. I've got a little instrument room with a triple window, which would be a sort of patio thing going on. And what else have I got? A little vocal or amp room. So you ideally have all your performers in here with the drums, and then you'd have amps in here, maybe a couple in here as well, or maybe another isolated sound if it was quieter, instruments like violin or something like that. And everybody has a line of sight with each other and they can all just play away. You guys might like this design but want to have more overdub booths at the back for more amplifiers. And then if you're feeling particularly right in the zone with it, the one I showed you last week obviously is the one that's got everything going in it. I've even managed to put in some drum kits and stuff, which I'm really proud of, as you can imagine. Okay, there we go. So you get an idea of space. I've decided to put a glass partition up here that would basically give me not only my live end dead end, but I could open it up and have a much bigger acoustic space. It gives me a bit more control for my piano. I've added in some acoustic absorbers here, just lying about to show you that they're there. And you can talk about that in your case study. And here I've put a little mixing console, some speakers, a sofa. That's not that important when you put furniture into it, as long as the dimensions and everything looks pretty good. Then this is what you can end up doing. Okay, this was probably about four hours work, but I was learning it as I went. You can see in here I've got my little rooms as well, with little fancy doors between them. Okay, however, I'd accept just something as simple as that. Alrighty, I'd like to see some textures on it as well. So once you start putting diffusers and all that on your wall, you can then get the absorption coefficients from the product website, wherever you got them, and you can add that into your RT60 calculations. Just add up all the total areas. So it's quite a big project, but it's relatively fun. Who's want to do it on a space that they've already got? Show of hands. Cool. Right, nice one. So if that's the case, that's fine if there's a standalone one. But if you're wanting to then append it, as I say, a studio onto it, a control room, I need measurements of at least 2 rooms. So if you're just giving me a studio room or a control room that you've got in the house, then, as I say, just add on another room to it and design that, and then you've got a theoretical studio design, but you're still able to kind of work out the best acoustics for your own space. But I need 2 acoustic spaces defined, because at the end of the day, a control room and a live room are doing two totally different jobs, and therefore should be treated separately. Okay, how are we all feeling? Does it look okay? Anybody sitting making buttons with the chairs? Get a mouse, you need a mouse, alright. Try to do that with a little trackpad, throw it out the window, okay, you'll be so sick of it. So the little mouse wheel for zooming in and out is really important. Learn the shortcuts pretty quickly. They are logical, okay. Hence lines L, rectangles R, push is P, tape measures T, eraser E. What else is on it? The little pointer tool, the select tool, space bar. Okay, so they're all pretty, as I say, logical. And offset, the thing I was using just to make that a scaled sort of duplicate of whatever shape I'd selected, was F for offset. Yeah, man?
To search for materials that are kind of different, like diffusers and stuff like that. Is there like a materials setting stuff like that?
There is, yeah. See if you go to, it's a good question, guys. See if you go to Window and then 3D Warehouse, not Extension Warehouse, 3D Warehouse. Now, this is one of the things that comes with the Pro license that you get for a month. So you can look up cookers if you're as boring as I am. I redesign my kitchen. So put in, say, acoustic panel. Then you got these guys that come in. So then, for instance, you'd be saying that this is about, say, 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. Jump onto eBay and look up the absorption coefficients of that foam that they're selling if you wanted to. Put these around the room a little bit. I'm not looking for exact figures here, okay, ballpark in terms of like the RT60s. But you have to show to me that you've got a lot of control over your control room, an RT60 between 0.2 and 0.4 seconds. Okay, so just be mindful of those sort of things, but you can find, for the design aspect of it, you can find everything you need. Any speakers you want, they've got Neve consoles if you're just wanting to go over the top and put one of these into your control room, which I of course did. You can download pianos, drum kits, whatever you need, and you can just hit download and it goes straight into your projects. If I click Iron Maiden, ridiculous thing, in fact no I won't, because that'll be huge. Let me just find like a normal looking kit for the studio. There we go. Load directly into your Sketchup model, click OK, and there it appears. But it's like that because if I zoom round, it's absolutely massive. You can resize it by going to scale and then bringing it down. And M allows you to move things around, but just be very mindful of M because sometimes you change the scale of it. So it's still pretty big here. Ideally, you want one that comes in that is actually the same, it's the right scale so that you can place it properly in your studio. You can use M to then rotate these guys about, and once you've loaded it in, click Escape, and then there it is. And if you go to Window and Components, all your downloaded components will appear in there, including this wee cheesy guy. So if you ever want to just introduce him to get an idea of your drum kit or whatever the space, you'll find him in there. You can also download humans to put into your project. So if you want to find a wee miniature version of yourself, I'd fully endorse that. Right, cool. So, you can find everything you need in there, alright? And then once you're done, you can put your shadows and all that in and see how amazing they are. never do something. There's no windows around, so that's what's happening here. Nothing's making its way through. Cool. Unfortunately, I'll have to put this video online, alright, so you can get access to it, but I'm sure you can find any thousands of hours of professionals doing this and confidently talking through it rather than every 2 seconds. Any other questions? Cool. Right, well, I put the link to Google Sketchup on Facebook last week, so you can find it there. If there are no questions, then I am done with you, and so you're free to go. So download your case study as well and have a wee look through it, and that's a report that goes along with your studio design.